Arena, it's a Commonwealth clash as Kentucky looks to improve to 5-2 on the season, and the fans were lined up early to come in for this fun one. Bellarmine's in town. One of the toughest schedules in all of college basketball brings them to Rupp Arena tonight, where they will face the reigning National Player of the Year, Tshiebwe, and the Kentucky Wildcats. And with that, we welcome you inside Rupp Arena. Bellarmine is 2-5, and Kentucky, the 19th ranked team in the country, stands at 4-2. Hey everybody, Tom Hart alongside John Sunville. Let's just jump right into it, Sonny. Think about where Kentucky has been this year and the players that have led them. Wallace's love of defense is something special.
Yeah, maybe the top freshman in the country, or at least one of the top freshmen. Wallace, most guys you think, well, can they come in and score a few baskets? Well, he does that whether he's going to the rim or shooting it, but it's on the defensive end. He's outstanding. And the other guy that may have to carry this team to another level would be Jacob Toppin. The guy that everybody predicts major upside, but he's got to get to that level. I think he's explosive. He shoots it well enough. He's got to be a better rebounder. And his game's on. This team's different.
Giving him 7.5 boards a game. And Toppin coming off of a career-high 20 against North Florida. There's Scott Davenport, who's got 400 wins in 18 seasons as the head man at Bellarmine. Longtime Louisville assistant before he took the job, and a high school coach there in Louisville before he got to the Cardinals. And his counterpart tonight, Hall of Famer John Calipari, who said this game is going to feel like a trip to the dentist. A dentist with really big hands. 10th all time among Division I coaches in total wins for Cal. And the last game for Kentucky before they go across the Big Pond to take on Michigan on Sunday afternoon. Bellarmine's making history tonight, the first college basketball team ever in the same season to play road games at Cameron Indoor, Pauley Pavilion, and now Rupp Arena. What a trip it's been for the Knights of Bellarmine.
And the Knights open up man-to-man defensively. They will switch a lot of this ball screen.
Here's Reeves, moved into the starting lineup a game ago, and he puts up a contested three that's off. Tshiebwe keeps it alive. Wheeler walked with it, and a Kentucky turnover, and now we get our first look at Bellarmine's offense. And Sonny, it's different than most you see. You'll see more passes than dribbles, most likely.
Yeah, they pass. They do not put it on the floor. Can Kentucky keep it on one side of the floor? We'll see. They do not bounce it. They move it. They cut. They want you to wear down. Kentucky talked about it today. They have to play the entire possession, and that's difficult for current collegiate players.
Yeah, Bellarmine's coming off of a loss against UCLA. Pauley Pavilion lost by 21. Made a game of it in the second half after the Bruins went on a late first half run.
Tom, we'll see when Bellarmine takes a shot, 4 or 5 guys will run back defensively. They will not worry about offensive rebounding against this Kentucky team.
And they're trying to sink in on Tshiebwe. Not a great entry pass, and another Kentucky turnover. Handful of Kentucky kids on this Bellarmine roster, which opened its season with a 1-point win, I guess you could say, on the road in downtown Louisville against Kenny Payne's Cardinals. Bellarmine's been playing in Louisville's old home, Freedom Hall, for the last 3 years since they moved to D1.
Tom, what's interesting already watching the Kentucky guys, they're tired defensively, trying to cover the full 35.
What does Bellarmine want to do defensively?
Well, again, they want to make Kentucky a jump shooting team. That's what they do. Teams shoot a lot of threes against Bellarmine. That's what they want you to do. They want to block out. Then when they get it on the offensive end, they'll push, they'll find openings, and if they can shoot it well, they kind of mentally wear down opponents slowly but surely. Now again, Kentucky's got better athletes. They want to speed things up.
That was Kurt Hope with the three. Most of the eyes in the building were on Tshiebwe during that possession. Went down and got up gingerly on the offensive end. Great hands by Wallace, and Tshiebwe gets it.
3 turnovers already on the offensive end for the Wildcats.
Here's Toppin.
To see how they cut off the driving lane of Wheeler, though. They're just going to almost play a shell game. Make you, when you drive it, they shut you off, make you kick it. You're going to have to make threes against his team.
That's the first on Kurt Hope, and the first against Bellarmine.
When they went on the road, Clemson made 13 threes, Duke made 14, LMU made 15. Now UCLA only made 3, but again, they offensive rebound the heck out of this team.
Cats averaging 9 made threes a game so far through the first 6. Losses to Michigan State in a game they gave away, and lost on the road at Gonzaga. A game where they sleptwalk through the first half of the game. Reeves off the mark.
Tough shot. Reeves had one more pass. He had Toppin wide open in the corner.
Kentucky scoreless here early on. Another 3 for Bellarmine, and Toppin brings down the board.
Though they've missed, they've been back on defense, Tom. You have not been able to get a fast break, this Kentucky team.
First foul line, Justin Betts, last year's ASUN Defensive Player of the Year.
When Tshiebwe puts it on the floor, here they come. They're going to wait till he bounces it, and he's close enough to the paint.
First clean touch for Tshiebwe tonight. They missed on an entry pass earlier. The other touch came on an offensive rebound. Toppin having a hard time getting open. Shot clock is late. Here's Reeves from the corner. I would think Kentucky would be pretty happy with that shot.
It's impressive. Ball moves, no bounces, cuts.
Not a single dribble in that possession, and it results in a Hope 3.
Again, they don't have bigs at the D1 level to finish against teams like Kentucky. So even if the bigs get it close, they kick it out to open shooters.
Follow tip by Reeves after Oscar grabbed an offensive board.
What a good pace to this game.
Yeah. Talking with Scott Davenport, Bellarmine's head coach, before the game about this offense, and he said, listen, I was at Louisville under Crum and Pitino. Got the Bellarmine job, realized we're going to have to be different because we just don't have the same athletes that we had, obviously, at the other level.
Yeah, under Pitino, obviously, Rick, they pressed all the time. And when he got to Bellarmine, he decided if we can't press defensively, he always said, we'll press offensively. We'll make it a game where people are tired of guarding us.
Oscar with the left.
How about that 5 straight minutes? There's some winded players out there. And where do you, when you get tired, what do? You lift your knees defensively, you get beat on backdoor cuts.
You're going to get Reeves for the reach-in. Antonio Reeves with the foul. Well, Bellarmine already has one huge win on the season. That was against Louisville to open the season. Could they notch another against the power in the Commonwealth? Early 6-4 lead on Kentucky. The Knights 2 of 6 from the floor. Here's a look at their offense.
Yeah, take a look at this possession. The ball does not hit the floor, just maybe on a pass. No dribbles, cuts, bounce pass here. Not a finisher around the rim, kicks it out, spread the floor, make the defense chase. It's a perfect offensive possession.
It's been a heck of a trip for Bellarmine. They're currently on a 9-day, 5,633-mile road trip. And look at the places they play. They went to Duke, they played at Cameron Indoor, then West Coast swing, like the PGA Tour. Loyola Marymount, then UCLA, had a red eye out of LAX through Atlanta, got back to Louisville in time to get breakfast, get back on the floor, and then bust over from Louisville today.
I thought it was great what Scott Davenport told both of us about he made his players look up different facts about some of the teams that are playing. Look up John Wooden, see what he was about. Look up John Calipari, see where he's coached besides Kentucky. All the things that he was trying to tell his students, athletes, that, hey, we're going to some special places.
Yeah.
Take a look, do some research, see where we're going.
And when they were at UCLA this past week, they had a chance to practice in the old practice gym connected with Pauley Pavilion, where they still have John Wooden's blackboard up. And he said, think about this. My guys have never seen a blackboard before. But they had to do deep dive researching on coaches like Wooden and Rupp and Cal. And I'm sure Krzyzewski, though he didn't bring that up on the Duke trip. Here's Wheeler now with the penetration. Lance Ware just entered. And they're going to say that was in the cylinder, no bucket. Wholesale changes for Cal. C.J. Frederick in at the shooting guard. Chris Livingston on the floor. Damian Collins there. Wheeler the only one that didn't change.
Good move by Wheeler. He was trying to make a pass. It was in the cylinder. Easy call for the official.
So Hayes Gardner, who used to be a beat writer for the Courier-Journal in Louisville, tracked every pass they made in a game a couple of years ago against, oddly enough, or coincidentally enough, your brother's team, Missouri St. Louis, in January of 2020. They made 406 passes in a single game on 16 made field goals. That is 25 passes per made bucket.
You know, it's easier said than done if you're defending them if you don't allow them to swing the basketball. They want to swing from side to side. If you don't allow that pass, then that changes them a little bit offensively.
Shot clock late and thrown up off the front rim. Scott Davenport shared with us their stats against UCLA. When they did not reverse the ball, they shot 33% from the floor. When they took it to two different sides, that number jumped to 50%. And that was in a game they lost by 21.
Yeah, Frederick's got to be ready to shoot when the ball is delivered to him in a shooting position.
Here he is, gives it up. And Collins stepped down the end line.
No penetration by this Kentucky team off the dribble. They've not been able to get inside. They've not been able to beat their guy one-on-one to get past it to cause some mismatches.
And the second flag on the floor for Kentucky right now, and they're going to get Damian Collins for a hold on the cutting Alec Freem.
This is a perfect team to play if you're a coach in November trying to get a message to your team about how to guard, how to stay with it the entire possession, how to stay in a stance, how to help, how to communicate.
33 Ben Johnson is on the floor. He's coming off of a career high. He's a Lexington native and never played in Rupp before. Big opportunity for him. Johnson with the ball in his hand. You can hear the crowd. He's got plenty of tickets given out tonight. Shot clock at 1. And Bellarmine doesn't get it off.
Say that's not that bad of a possession by Bellarmine.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, you want to shorten the game, don't you?
You do, and it is no fun to guard 30 seconds on defense. It is just absolutely, and Kentucky guys are winded.
And when you say winded, it's a different type of cardio.
Yes.
Being down in a defensive stance for 30 seconds on one side of the floor.
Yeah, it's not the up and down. It's a stress mentally too. Are you in the right place? You know your coach is yelling at you. You've talked about it for 3 days. And it's a habit for Bellarmine. This is what they run. They do this daily.
Yeah.
Coach Davenport said this is what they do when they just go play street ball.
Yeah.
This is how they play.
Pick up in the summer. They're gonna have 6 passes of possession. Another late possession. Pull up 3. Rebounded by Lance Ware.
And again, 4 guys run back for Bellarmine right away when the shot goes up.
Here's Frederick, catch and shoot. You good with that look from Frederick as a shooter?
Yeah, I am. He's a terrific shooter. I know he has a shot well. I watched him in practice this morning. I watched him early when I got to the arena. That's the kind of shot you shoot. It's in rhythm. It's in motion. You're moving. Shooters like to move. He's just got to make a couple, and then the basket will get big.
2 years at Iowa, was a 47% three-point shooter. He's at 34 so far in a Kentucky uniform. Wheeler doubled in the corner.
Good
Found
pass.
Ware.
Wheeler is a terrific assist man. He always has been. Can find guys at times. He may bounce it too many times in a possession, but terrific pass there.
7.5 assists a game, best in the SEC. One of the best numbers in the nation for Xavier Wheeler. Bash Wheeling gets in the paint, gives it up.
And you'll see how clear the paint gets, right? The bigs move out of the way.
Offensive rebound. Here's Ben Johnson, way off the mark. And a foul put back by Wheeling. I think Ben Johnson, who played at Lexington Catholic, may have some Rupp Arena nerves tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's terrific he gets an opportunity. He's a great shooter.
There is a nervous energy in this building. Nine minutes in, Bellarmine has held Kentucky to just 6 points. Frederick.
Again, shut off the driving lanes. That's what the Knights are doing defensively.
Pass was deflected to Frederick. And he tried to drive and drew the foul. And they'll be on Bash Whelan. Don't expect Bellarmine to get a bunch of points in the paint. Kentucky hasn't had the opportunity either. Ware got a clean look on the feed from Xavier Wheeler, but the Cats shooting just 30% early on, and they've turned it over 7 times already. Averaging 7.5 passes per possession tonight. The NBA average, they track it, they don't track it in college, is under 3 passes per possession. Even if you figured the longer shot clock, this was Hayes Gardner did this work, it's 3.5 passes per possession. It's just a different style. But let's talk about that Louisville game for a moment. You asked Scott Davenport about it. We were standing on the court, midcourt here at Rupp before the game, and he was almost moved to tears. He was so emotional about what that meant. He said, "Could you imagine Bellarmine beating Louisville? Can you imagine that?"
Well, he loves Louisville. He loves the city. He's been there forever. But he did. There were almost tears in his eye. He said never in his wildest dreams could he imagine Bellarmine beating Louisville.
Grew up across the street from Churchill Downs. He said a lot of folks had a playground in their neighborhood. I had Churchill Downs. Oscar keeps it alive. And another follow. This time it's Cason Wallace.
The other thing you can do if you're Kentucky against a Bellarmine team is speed them up.
How do you do that?
More pressure full court. Same thing Louisville did in the last 5 minutes of that game when they got pressure. They're down 12 or 14. All of a sudden they sped the whole thing up, make them make a play they don't want to make.
Do you have to make baskets to do that?
Well, yes, it helps, but you can do it just by getting after every ball handler that's bringing up the floor.
Kentucky's largest issue to this moment has been turnovers, 7 of them. It's already the most in a half this season. Oscar's starting to take it over. Block on one end and then muscled his way to his second bucket on the other.
I think the way Kentucky's guarding now, you're going to let Bellarmine run whatever they're going to do what they do. And that's tough. You're chasing, you're trying to communicate, you're trying to switch. Look how tired, though, the Kentucky guys look on a possession.
Top of the key 3, rebounded by Reeves. 10 of Bellarmine's 14 attempts have come from deep so far. They'll lay off Collins.
Okay, so Tom, think of this. You just played defense for 27 seconds, and you played offense for 4. Now you come back and play defense. It's tough.
If this were a football game, we would be citing time of possession.
Yes.
And it'd be a huge advantage for Bellarmine. The turnaround jump hook goes for Bash Whelan, senior from Cincinnati out of Lakota East. He's coming off 5 points in the loss at UCLA.
Whelan was a guy down the stretch who was so good. And he upset against the free throw line. He made 11 of 12 attempts when they needed him most.
Wallace contested 3, an air ball. And it's saved to Tshiebwe.
Shot clock did not reset.
That's the 3rd bucket for Kentucky that's come on an offensive putback.
So the Wildcats put pressure now around the rim. And the Knights aren't getting defensively if you don't get the rebound. Now they are wearing down and can't guard the rim.
The Bellarmine team that was not at full strength against UCLA. They had 3 players injured practice the day before their UCLA game. And they were without Justin Betts, who is playing tonight. So they got 1 guy back. Toppin picks up 3/4 court. Casey Wallace, his first.
Side to side ball movement. Guys are open on the wing. No one's overplaying, so they're not backdoor cutting. But because the ball moves from left side to the right side, all of a sudden you're chasing defensively. A lot of avenues for this Bellarmine team to drive. Most of them, though, aren't able to finish around the rim against this taller, bigger Kentucky team.
I thought UCLA did a great job, especially in the second half, making them put the ball on the floor.
Yeah, you want to crowd them, make them dribble. They want to just pass. Ooh.
Reeves whistle for the foul. That is his second. And instead of a breakaway one way, it'll be Bellarmine basketball in a dogfight with the Cats. We're knotted at 12 points apiece. Under 8. The third oldest statewide award, Mr. Kentucky basketball. We'll give you a little history lesson. Wes Unseld in 1964. Goose Givens, of course, is in the building on the Kentucky Radio Network. He was 1974 Kentucky Mr. Basketball. This is just a smattering. And Sonny, these are some dudes now. Rex won it in '86. A handful of the guys ended up at Kentucky, obviously. Allen Houston played for Scott Davenport in high school. Chris Lofton went on to star at Tennessee. And Ben Johnson, there he is in action against Duke earlier. At a Lexington Catholic, he averaged 27 points a game as a senior. Has yet to score in this one tonight, but he's coming off of a career-high 20 against UCLA and playing in front of Goose Givens over there with Tom Leach just down the road.
I remember it well. Goose getting 41 against Duke, national championship. Duke ran a zone defense, and Goose just slid right in the middle of it, left-handed. Turned around the free throw line. I think he made about 15 of those shots.
Well, the analytics folks would not like that mid-range jumper these days. Huh?
And that's what he had.
That is the third oldest such award. Only Indiana and California are older. The last handful of award winners major. Another shot clock violation. Whelan couldn't get it off.
Solid defense by this Kentucky team. Staying down, staying with it. Not double teaming. They don't have to.
Oscar's gotten some touches in the last few possessions. Cal said after the Gonzaga game, we had plays to run for Oscar. He couldn't remember the plays, including the very first play of the game they failed to execute.
Were they running it for him?
Yep.
You should remember the ones that your number's called.
Yeah. And an offensive foul will go against Bellarmine, and that is on Alec Freem out of Moeller in Cincinnati. Here's a look at your numbers early on. Kentucky hasn't made a three. Bellarmine not much better. 10 of their 15 attempts have come from deep.
Well, you know the Wildcats want to pound it inside against a smaller Bellarmine team. But when you do that, sometimes the floor shrinks on you, and unless you open it up and knock in some threes, they just have not been able to hit the openings.
Here's Livingston, the freshman cut off. You would think Toppin should just rise and fire.
Yeah.
He's got a huge size advantage, missed the follow-up.
The only problem he did there, he only bounced it once and picked up his dribble.
It's 6'9" versus 6'3" when he has the ball guarded by Dr. Justin Betts.
Yeah, if Jacob stays patient offensively and stays on his bounce, he should be able to get to wherever he wants to, jump over the top, make the shot. He's a terrific mid-range player.
Shot clock at 6. Already a handful of shot clock violations against Bellarmine. Just blindly thrown up by Whelan.
I mean, I think the Kentucky coaching staff has to be happy on the defensive end of what's going on.
What about the offensive end, Mrs. Lincoln?
Ooh.
6 of 22, 0 for 6 from deep. Livingston got his hands on that one. Chance to run for Kentucky. Those have been rare tonight. And Wallace will go to the free throw line. Langdon Hatton commits his second.
A rare opportunity for a fast break for this Wildcat squad. They've not been able to get defensive rebounds and push because of Bellarmine's ability to get back defensively, but that time on a turnover. Good job by Wallace to take it to the rim. He has had a terrific start of a freshman season.
Kaysen coming off of an 8-point performance last time out against North Florida. That was Wednesday afternoon before Thanksgiving. Kentucky won that game by 40 in it against the Ospreys. They had 20 fast break points. They had run and cashed in on their way to 54 points. Yeah. One or two from the line for.
Keep an eye on Wallace. He's got a little limp after going down hard.
They had Reeves on his way to the scorer's table. It ends up being Frederick waiting to check in. Johnson, great pass.
Wow.
And it ends up being an Oscar Tshiebwe personal foul.
You know, Wallace came up. It was his guy defensively. He was communicating on how to switch, and as he was communicating, his guy made the backdoor cut.
So Alec Freem will be at the free throw line. Had a season-ending hip injury last year for Bellarmine. What a weird season it was. They ended up, despite being ineligible for the NCAA tournament, played in the A-Sun tournament. Ended up winning the tournament, but not eligible to go because of the 4-year transitionary period from D2 to. And because the NCAA is also in charge of the NIT, they didn't even have a chance of playing the NIT, which.
First team ever to win its conference tournament, not to play in the NCAA tournament. Rules are rules, I guess, and they have not changed it even after everything that happened last year.
Well, they're not even entertaining the idea of change.
Didn't even bring it up for discussion.
Justin Betts wrote a long letter to the NCAA looking for an opportunity to plead their case. This would be the last year they would be ineligible. 4-year probationary period. Wheeler for three. Got it. And Kentucky jumps in front thanks to a Xavier Wheeler three. Screen cut off by Oscar. Long three short. Out of the hands of Garrett Tipton. Cats with their first lead, trying to build on it.
Good pass.
Man, a good finish. Felt like they could have gotten it to him earlier in the possession.
Yeah, the one thing Oscar does not do is he does not demand the ball. So if you're a passer, there are times his arms, I think, when you shrink, his hands aren't big and wide. He doesn't make himself this massive target that says, give me the ball.
Wheeler beat his man. Here's Frederick for three.
Yep.
Got it.
Very nicely done. Wheeler off the bounce doing what he does best, and that's the Frederick I think we'll see most of the season.
Cats have put together an 8-0 run.
Well, finally using the inside to the outside. Wheeler's going to get wide open looks all season long. He's got to hit him. This is what he does best. Surveys, if you help out. C.J. Frederick is a fantastic shooter.
(21-14), Kentucky in front of Bellarmine thanks to an 8-0 run.
And it's been a difference of what to do when Oscar gets the basketball, right? He's going to draw attention. So you move the basketball outside, guys have to make shots. You know he can finish inside. We know what Wheeler can do. We understand what C.J. Frederick is all about, though he hasn't shot it well this season yet. We know what he did at Iowa. We've seen what he does at practice. He's capable of stretching a floor, not necessarily being the focal point on the offensive end, but a good enough shooter that can change the way a game's being played. And if he brings the teams out, as Reeves can, then that changes what Oscar has inside and what Toppin can do inside.
So is that primarily a complementary piece to the offense, or can it be a featured piece?
It's both, because it's complementary to what greatness you have inside when you have a National Player of the Year, but it's also a focus piece when you need it against zone defenses.
And he played with the National Player of the Year at Iowa, Luka Garza. That one redirected by Tshiebwe.
And Iowa played with such a motion-type offense. They had a lot of movement. And I do think shooting is about rhythm and it's about movement. And if he moves and he's not just standing still, he's going to be a better shooter. But that's another, it's a good shot.
Yeah. That's the second one he's missed from that side of the floor on that movement. Other big issue for Kentucky so far tonight, they are just 5 of 12 on layups. And that's only the second layup attempt for Bellarmine, and Justin Betts gets his first bucket.
Yeah, nicely done. All caused by Chris Livingston trying to overplay, trying to steal the ball. Didn't get it. Anytime you play Bellarmine, if defensively, it's got to be 100% that you steal the ball. Not maybe, because a maybe, then you're in trouble.
Have you noticed how quickly this game is moving along? And they're not going to have time to eat their Rupp Arena ice cream tonight.
It's like you doing a football game and both teams are just running the ball.
That's right. It's like Army Navy in here. Hurried three. Goes for Frederick. Bellarmine thought that was a shot clock violation.
May need to look at it. You know, CJ knew the clock was running down, and sometimes it's easiest to make a shot when you don't have to think about it.
So I sit next to a lot of guys who know basketball in this job, but I don't know if I should who knows jump shooting as well as you do. What's mentally, when you don't have time to, you're in a slump and you don't have time to react with the clock running down, what difference does that make?
It's huge because you just shoot it.
Yeah.
There's no thought process. The other part of a shooter not shooting well is I always thought it was best to put it on the floor, get to the free throw line, become a player. Now I know we live in this world that you take layups or you take three-pointers. But C.J. Frederick's good enough to put it on the floor, get contact, get to the free throw line. He's still a great free throw shooter. But on this case, did he get it off before?
Pat Adams says no.
But I do think the specialization that players play with now hurts them. Because, again, I'd like to see him take the basketball, bounce it hard, especially in a game like against Bellarmine. He can get to the paint, jump up and shoot it. Well, that's a jump shot. Maybe you get contact, then you get to the free throw line. Because the free throw line, he's been pretty good all season long, 10 of 11.
Kentucky Gatorade Player of the Year, Covington Catholic. 2018 and MVP of the Sweet 16 here at Rupp. Bellarmine a moment ago.
Again, the ball does not bounce much, but the over Chris Livingston, quickly what Betts did, unlike other players, he didn't, his guy overplayed. He didn't put it on the floor to dribble and make the play. He kicked it and then got it back on the cut.
Yeah.
Different than how teams play.
Betts was on the ASUN tournament team last year. Redshirted his first year on campus in Louisville. He already has his MBA, and Scott Davenport was talking about giving him a hard time after the Louisville game. He was the one that threw the ball in the air to try to run out the last couple of seconds. And he said, "What am I going to do?" Davenport said, "Yell at Dr. Betts." Ben Johnson is yet to score. The Lexington native coming off of a career high 20 against UCLA. Johnson's in the corner, didn't get it to him.
Tough shot.
Yeah, nice little movement by Betts. Cats only up by 3. Here's Wheeler. Was that one of the plays where Frederick could have put it on the floor?
Yeah, but so did Wallace was in the paint, right? And if you're in the paint, and again, I understand the way the game is played by everybody drives and kicks, drives and kicks. But how about a drive and finish in the mid-range? And I know analytics says it's probably not. Then the ball movement by Bellarmine, finally they get one from deep.
That is the third 3 for Kurt Holt, Montgomery, Indiana native. Cal was not happy with the officiating after that last possession. Yeah, what you're talking about is Cal's dribble drive offense, where they're looking to gain an advantage, but sometimes they don't. You're saying they don't see the advantage right in front of them.
It's a dribble drive that you beat your guy, right? And you're waiting for the help to come. What I've noticed in practice in the games they play, guys then kick it. It's the next guy. But most guys aren't finishing the play. Like if you get to the lane, if I'm Wallace and I've got a smaller or equal sized guy on me defensively, once I've got the paint, I'm taking that guy. I'm going to use my shoulder into him. I'm going to get contact. I'm going up. Now, it's different if I've got a help guy. There's two on it. That's different.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen that. I mean, I just saw Wallace right there in the paint going, okay. And that's what I think of Jacob Toppin. Toppin is a guy that if he gets to 10 feet, 8 feet, 7 feet, step up and shoot it.
Yeah.
Don't always be thinking of kicking the ball. I've always thought a good offensive player, Tom, will see the open guy when you go up to shoot. If you're not open, you'll see it and you'll feel it.
Toppin did just that second half against Gonzaga, turned to that mid-range game. Wheeler tried to share it and got taken away. Bellarmine looking to reclaim their lead. They led for the first 15 minutes of this game, or I should say never trailed to be precise, before an 8-0 Kentucky run. Jalen Fairman puts it on the floor. Got in the paint and left it wide. Toppin to Wallace to Frederick for three.
Tougher shot. Guy was on him right away, right? That's an easy ball fake. Now maybe you put it on the floor.
Scott Davenport coaching on the sideline, out of the camera view. Right behind him, his son Doug, coaching, waiting. Fairman whips it. Here's a three for the lead. And a follow tip off the stanchion. 10.8 left for Kentucky. He's got to be a frustrating half for Kentucky offensively. This will be their lowest scoring half so far this year. Did you have 21 all as your halftime score? Nobody's missing extra point, I guess.
Now we'll see what Wheeler coming downhill, see if he gets a screen up high. Turn the corner.
Wheeler kept it 4 on the clock now. Here's Tshiebwe, mid-range J, off the mark. And we will hit halftime with a score that will make waves throughout college basketball. Bellarmine 21, Kentucky 21. Fewest points and a half this season for the Cats, 4 less than the previous low against Gonzaga. You know what? This will be an opportunity for a lot of folks to fire up their computers in the second half.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we got something developing here at Rupp Arena. Bellarmine's 5,633-mile road trip continues, and they have knotted up the 19th ranked Cats at the half. We'll get to the studio. Dari and the gang right after this. Bellarmine and Kentucky are tied at 21 at the half. Lowest halftime since 2018. Hey everybody, Tom Hart, John Sunborn for the first 20 minutes.
Perfect recipe for an upset because Bellarmine hasn't turned it over only 4 times. I think 3 of them were shot clock.
Yep.
Kentucky's turned it over too many times, and they're not shooting the ball well. 30% from the field, 18 from the three-point line. Yeah, it's a recipe.
And only 5 of 12 on layups for Kentucky. On the Bellarmine side, Kurt Hope has hit some big threes, and most of them come late in the shot clock.
And he's guarded by the bigs of Kentucky. So they spread you out. When the bigs help down low, they swing it. He's found some opening, and he's knocked it in. And when we go the other side, Kentucky's been inefficient on offense. They've not shot the ball well, but besides that, they have 9 turnovers. They only in a game. It's one of the strengths of their team, but not tonight. They've tried to force some things inside. There's some active hands by this night squad, and too many turnovers. I'm sure Coach Cal addressed it at halftime. Let's see if the pace picks up a little bit for this Wildcat team.
Fewest points and a half since 18 and a half against Mizzou in February of 2018. Bellarmine dominating time of possession. They trailed for only 3:38 in the first half. Otherwise led or tied the rest. Kentucky didn't get the lead until 4 minutes left in the half. Sloppy pass results in a foul on the perimeter after Oscar came away with a steal.
One of the few possessions that I thought Bellarmine was too bunched up. Too many guys too close to the basketball. Take a look at the numbers of the first half. I'm really looking at that Kentucky side. Not shooting the ball well. Too many turnovers. Not many steals. They have not caused anything. They've sat back defensively. They've allowed Bellarmine to run what they run.
There's Reeves on the cut, and he makes it a three-point opportunity.
Terrific cut, but even a better pass. Bounce pass led right to him, finished at the rim. I do believe this Kentucky team can have more cuts, be more effective in that paint area against a shorter, smaller Bellarmine team.
So Antonio Reeves to the free throw line and indeed converts the three-point play. Cats up by 3. First ever meeting between these two, and now Kentucky put on the full court pressure.
Yeah.
Wheeler with the jump.
Tried to speed things up, make Bellarmine push it up the floor, and maybe not let them get some easy sets on the offensive end.
A few opportunities to do it in the first half for the Cats. Only 9 made field goals. Open 3. Hope already has 3 in the first half.
And that's who, right? So Oscar is very comfortable in the paint, trying to help with cutters. Hope just kind of moves, finds an area, knocks in another 3.
First ever matchup between these two. Bellarmine had lost all 12 meetings against Louisville in their history before coming away with the win to open the season. And a foul on the drive. How about Kurt Hope, product out of Montgomery, Indiana?
Lack of communication, if there's any switching going on.
I think it's a dream opportunity for Hope. I mean, he's already played at Cameron Indoor and Pauley Pavilion, and he was a 2-time small school first-team All-State performer in Indiana. It's at the Indiana Finals record with 19 rebounds in a state championship game.
Coming off his career high at UCLA of 16. Could you imagine this Bellarmine pulling off the double, Louisville and Kentucky?
No. Tshiebwe blows the bunny. You said the recipe is there. Here's Hope now driving on Oscar.
How crisp are the moves on the offensive end for this Bellarmine squad? I mean, the cuts, that's a tough shot.
Oh! Dr. Betts banks it in.
Okay, so Betts goes 6'3", Severe Wheeler's only 5'9". Use your advantage, jump up over the top.
I always think, Sonny, no matter the sport, the longer you let an underdog hang around, the more they believe that they can win.
And the more that this crowd will get nervous, and you can feel when home crowds get nervous.
Yes.
Ooh, had it. He missed the bounce pass.
Fade away, no. Oscar has it. You know, from a ranking standpoint, it wouldn't exactly be Chaminade, Virginia. But from in-state, as Toppin reverses it in, given the fact that Bellarmine's only been a D1 school for 3 years, it would have a similar feeling.
Yes.
Doesn't feel like a home court advantage at Rupp tonight either, does it? 3 ball goes for Bash Wheeling.
You know, you watch Kentucky sit back defensively.
Yep.
There is no aggressiveness defensively. They've not forced Bellarmine into doing anything more quickly than they want to do it. They're allowing them to play the pace they want to play at. And if any player gets to do that, they're comfortable. You got to take the comfort level away.
Toppin looking to get aggressive, finds Reeves. Loose ball, Bellarmine found it and got a timeout. Alec Freem will stop the clock, and Bellarmine steals a possession.
It's been clinical, especially the second half, whether they use some of their size as an advantage or just moving the basketball, moving the defense. Wide open shots. Could we have an upset? The Knights up 1.
29-28. What an effort so far from Bellarmine. The Knights in the middle of a 5,633-mile road trip. They look fresher than Kentucky, though.
I think the reason is because Kentucky is allowing Bellarmine to play the game Bellarmine wants to play.
So
they're playing at their pace.
How do you stop it?
I think you speed everything up defensively. You might give up a backdoor cut or something, but you turn up a notch, whether it's full court, three-quarter court, but especially half court. You get into every guy that has a ball and make him bounce it, chest to chest. So you speed everything up. Now, again, you might give up a backdoor cut, but if you wait till the last 3 or 4 minutes to do that, that's when you stub your toe and then they do something.
We talk a lot about Bellarmine's offense, but their defense has been sensational tonight. They've given up an average of about 78 points a game over the previous 4 on this long road trip. They have not given Kentucky clean looks.
But look how well they cut, though. It's tough to defend.
Whelan was open for a moment. Shot clock now at 4. Into the corner, a 3-ball. Goes again. Kurt Hope having the night of his life. He's got 15.
The lefty held up the #1 when he released it. Looked like Bird walking off the 3-point winner.
You were in that 3-point contest, weren't you?
Not that one.
Okay.
I was a couple years later.
That's the most humble brag ever. No, I wasn't in that 3-point contest. He beat me in another. Bellarmine leading by 4. Hope coming off a career-high 16 against UCLA and Pauley Pavilion. He's got 15 in Rupp. Wheeler, shot clock late. And a shot clock violation for Kentucky. Kentucky has won 73 of its last 78 home games against non-conference opponents. Bellarmine is looking for a Commonwealth sweep against Louisville and Kentucky, and the Knights, new to D1, lead by 4. Well, if you're new to this broadcast, here's the BioBlast on Bellarmine. They're from Louisville. Scott Davenport, longtime Louisville assistant. 18th year as the head coach here. They're only in their 3rd season as Division I. They had a remarkable run through the ASUN tournament last year, and they won the thing. But there's a 4-year probationary period coming from D2 to D1. They weren't eligible for the NCAA tournament. Folks on the NIT committee said we're going to follow those same rules. They denied them a chance to play in that. And for a Bellarmine program that was a Division II powerhouse, won the national title in 2011. Raised the money to come D1, and this year in their first game of the season, won by 1 at the Yum Center against Louisville. Back cut and Bellarmine turnover. That's only their 2nd turnover. It had been a shot clock violation, and that was one that jammed Peter Suter's thumb, which is already taped up.
Yeah, he's got a bad thumb anyway. He has played exceptionally well, but man, that hurt.
So Bellarmine defensively, Sonny, came in 306 in the country in defensive efficiency. They've held Kentucky to 34% shooting.
So is it a little bit of a recipe for what teams will scout Kentucky? They've packed it in on Kentucky.
Yep.
Kentucky has not made jump shots. When they've penetrated, they've kicked out. This is where they've struggled. They've not been able to chase loose balls, though they got that one.
Kentucky just .778 points per possession.
And I said the first half, I don't think Oscar makes himself a big enough target to throw the ball to.
Collins had it stripped. Ben Johnson, product of Lexington, former Kentucky Mr. Basketball, with the steal. And Oscar is a big guy, wide body, huge hands, 10 3/4-inch hands.
And he does not want to guard Hope outside. See, they've taken Oscar out of the lane, but he keeps his eyes on the ball and not his man.
And now Hope inside went down after Oscar challenged that one.
I think Hope's better off just spotting up.
Reeves with the corner jumper.
Big bucket, even though there's 14 minutes left. Kentucky needed something offensively, and they've got to get this crowd involved. Crowd has not been happy with how the Wildcats have played tonight.
Well, a lot of sitting on their hands where everybody's holding those ice cream cones. They're getting into it now. Bellarmine by 1. Here's Hope. Shot clock at 4. Ben Johnson, local kid, challenge 2. Rebound for Tshiebwe, his 10th. Wheeler on the other end. And this is where you feel the building starting to come alive a little bit. You feel like Kentucky could use its athleticism and put together a run.
It's pace, and they're picking the pace up defensively. They've picked the pace up defensively. A couple misses. Now you can push. You get Reeves in the corner, makes the 1-3. He goes back to that corner that time. That spaces it out. That lets a guy like Xavier Wheeler do what he does best, and that's take it to the rim.
Xavier 10 of 13 from the free throw line this year. Collins takes a seat. Toppin returns. Xavier gets the second one down. Tied at 32 now.
It'd be interesting to see how much depth Cal can use with different guys coming in to put pressure on the basketball like Wallace is doing.
Wallace, one of the best defenders in college basketball. He loves playing defense.
And you saw Johnson kind of pushing off with the off arm. That's what you want to have happen if you're a Kentucky Wildcat fan. Defensively get after them, speed everything up, make them make harder plays.
Shot clock at 6. Betts gives it up. Here's a 3. Back rim for Frame. Wheeler pushes and lost control of it off of his knee, and a turnover.
Tom, here's what you notice. Oscar runs the floor so well, and look at him in the middle. And he's begging for the ball. You got to reward bigs for running. And if you don't, they don't run like that. And he's out ahead. Wheeler at time gets caught with the ball bouncing. Push it up the side, pass it up the side, then you've got an easy delivery to Oscar on the run for a dunk.
Off the turnover, man-to-man full court again. Suter playing with that bum left hand back on the floor for Bellarmine. Betts turns it over. I think Bellarmine's starting to look tired.
Well, everything's a faster pace. They just moved it up a notch. And now Bellarmine, if offensively, if they've got to do a little more ball fakes, right? A little more change of pace with the dribble against a better defender.
So Scott Davenport, former head coach at Ballard High School, where he coached DeJuan Wheat and Allen Houston before becoming a U of L assistant.
Frederick and Reeves in the lineup. This is two good shooters, even though, again, I know Frederick hasn't shot it well yet this season. He had Wallace, who just missed it. That's 3 really good outside shooters.
This looks like the ideal lineup for Kentucky. And it's blocked by Reeves. Chance to push. Here's C.J. Frederick. And he's able to draw the foul from Langdon Hatton.
I think we had one push and run the first half, and that's the first one in the second half. All caused by an active and aggressive defense. Good block, but here's what Reeves does. He doesn't dribble it all the way up the floor. Get it to a guy ahead of you. Let them make the play. He took 2 bounces, then Frederick, smart play, get to the free throw line.
C.J. Frederick will go to the free throw line. First free throw attempt of the night. And CJ's going to get some help from Jeffrey Staten and clean up the eye a little bit. Frederick only had 2 points in 11 minutes in the game before Thanksgiving against North Florida. What does a good shooter look like at the free throw line in your mind?
Comfortable. I think the best shooters are kind of wrist shooters, not arm shooters. It's just a flick of a wrist. It's not a very long shot, obviously. They don't have to have a lot of knee bend, but it's just a simple, confident release.
CJ having vision problems with that left eye. It's still watering, and he knocks them both down. They do not pick up full court here. Wallace will greet him at midcourt.
When Fairman, number 0, was in the lineup in the first half for Bellarmine, they ran a little more pick and rolls for him. He put it on the floor more than any other player.
Whelan caught up in the paint. Here's Tipton now. A more sense of urgency in the defensive end. Oscar reached in and forced it out. Toppin now. And he's fouled on his way to the hoop. Cats had an 8-0 run in the first half to find their first lead, and now a 6-0 run over the last 2:26 in the second half. Kentucky by a deuce. Kentucky clinging to a 2-point lead at home against Bellarmine. You always see some Kentucky stars when you come to town, right? I mean, Goose Givens is sitting over. How about Kyle Macy?
Yeah, one of
that
my
guy
favorite. Yes. Led him to a national championship. Great pro. And back in the day, everybody would wipe their socks at the free throw line like he did.
That's right. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is in town. He had a fundraiser for his foundation last night. A bowling fundraiser. They just honored. There he is.
What a nice guy. We met him today.
Yeah.
Shoot around.
He had a stuttering problem throughout his life. He said, I just got tired of it, and I worked through it. And being in the spotlight was part that both frustrated me and drove me. And now he's trying to help people going through the same things that he has been through. Tyler Eulis was honored just a moment ago. He had a serious car accident back in February and couldn't walk for a number of months. So great to see Tyler out on the floor. Another one coming for Toppin.
Only points number 3 and 4 on the night. Full court pressure.
Jalen Fairman guarded by Casey Wallace. Bellarmine content to use some clock.
Running more set plays now than just the normal.
Sam DeVault is on the floor. They had wholesale changes a moment ago. Shot clock at 3. And deflected by Tshiebwe into the third row. 1 second left on the shot clock. What could you get off with 1 left?
Solid defense. Look at this and look at the active hands. How quickly Oscar got to that ball.
Kind of an awkward inbounds position with 1 second left on the clock.
Yeah, take a look. See where Betts comes from. He's the furthest away. He'll probably come on a dive.
You're going to be catch and shoot over Tshiebwe. And a shot clock violation. What is that, the 5th shot clock violation for Bellarmine tonight?
Yep. In the first half, the shot clock violations were them just running offense to the end.
Right.
That one was forced by Kentucky's defense.
Wheeler back to running the point. Trying to get Frederick free. Here's CJ around Toppin. Frederick with the ball fake for 3 with 3 on the shot clock.
Shooter. Ball fake, 1 bounce, got it set, good release after hitting 2 free throws.
Largest lead of the night for the Cats. Now an 11-0 Kentucky run.
I think Toppin has been sensational defensively because he can play away from the basket with his size. Wow, what an answer.
That's Alec Freeman, his first 3 of the night. Ends an 11-0 Cats run. Oscar Tshiebwe only 8 points tonight. He's been a double-double machine in his career. Toppin gets double. Here's Frederick again. Drilled it again.
So what's great is Freem, who hit the shot for Bellarmine, and Frederick are talking to each other.
Yeah.
Jump shot to jump shot. They're guarding each other.
Denied by Wheeler.
Now push.
Into Oscar. Got great position. He's frustrated.
He's got to finish that.
Cats are just 8 of 17 on layups. And Bellarmine misses an opportunity.
All right, Frederick's hit the last 2 jumpers.
Yep.
Nice move.
You were getting ready to say, why don't you go find C.J. Frederick?
Well, what you want to do is play to strength, and you can use a great shooter as a decoy too, because guys are going to jump for that shot. He's made 2 in a row.
Answer's not there from Sam DeVault. Twenty of Bellarmine's 36 attempts have been threes.
And when you get a shooter on the move, then defenses start pointing where he is, so guys can slip screens and make layups.
Frederick has nobody on him right now. Toppin.
Nice play. Toppin now using his length at 6'9" the last couple of possessions around the rim. He did not do that in the first half.
He's coming off of a career high 20. Had a double-double against North Florida. Cats have scored 18 of the last 21. The vault over Tshiebwe. Frederick in the corner. What's the difference for a jump shooter moving into the shot versus being stationary?
I think movement is it. I just think it's like dancing. There's a movement and rhythm to shooting. And if you're standing there, I would prefer you take a step to the ball, even up the line, you step into the shot. But when C.J. Frederick gets it going, the game changes for Kentucky. Yeah, it's been a slow start this season. I get it, Wildcat fans, but this kid has proven in his career that he can shoot it. And when he shoots it, it opens a lot of things up for teammates. And Jacob Toppin finally said, you know, I'm tired of the smaller guys. Let's finish at the rim. Wildcats on a roll.
Well, it has been a rock fight inside Rupp Arena tonight. A Kentucky team second in the SEC, averaging better than 87 points a game. And of course, you know about the great Kentucky history. Struggling to find offense tonight, just 38% shooting, only 5 of 18 from 3. The turnover story is what has gotten Kentucky back in this game in the second half. Season high for turnovers for the Cats in the first half, and now Bellarmine turning over in the second.
Yeah, the pace is picked up defensively by the Wildcats. Bellarmine, a team that only averages 11 turnovers a game anyway, but if you let them, as the first half went, if you let them do what they want to do, it's hard. What's happened in the last 7 or 8 minutes is that Kentucky has turned up the defense a notch, and Bellarmine has been more sloppy. But again, it's everything's rushed, not the pace you want to play.
In addition, made the football comp in the first half. It's like playing a triple option offense. They've limited Kentucky's possessions. Cats have only gone to the free throw line 9 times so far tonight. Here's Whelan, cut off by Lance Ware, and we'll stay with Bellarmine with 6 on the shot clock. 6 on the shot clock to them feels like 15 the most.
They can still pass it 4 times before they get a shot. But what you've noticed, Tom, in the last, let's say 7 or 8 minutes, they've had to dribble the ball more than they were the first half. Everything was pass, pass, pass. Now it's off the bounce.
It sounds very elementary, but it's what UCLA did to them in the second half.
Yeah. And it's what Louisville did down the stretch. Louisville was down like 12 or 14. Last few minutes, they picked up the pace defensively.
We played the clip in the first half. Now you see why Eric Musselman said we will never play this team. Wheeler harassed at midcourt, finds Livingston, numbers in the half court, and a jam for Toppin.
That is a fabulous play by Severe Wheeler. Not only to recover the ball, but not waste a timeout, make the pass, opens it up for a teammate.
Contested 3 for Whelan. Some of those were falling in the first half for Bellarmine. They're off in the second. Here's Reeves, transition 3. Cats have it going now. It's a 12-0 run.
Yeah, first it was Frederick the shooter, and now Reeves the shooter.
Cats have scored 23 of the last 26 in this game.
Peer hustle. Betts thought he had a steal, and again, a lot of guys would jump on that ball, call a timeout. Got the ball up, numbers on the other side, good sharing of the basketball. Easy finish, and Antonio Reeves, we know he's a scorer at Illinois State, over 20 points a ball game. He has shot it well for Kentucky, just not enough sometimes.
So it feels like this has been solved, this issue tonight for Kentucky, right? They're up 16 points right now. But how do you get the taste out of your mouth from the first 3 quarters of this game?
I think there's 2 things, Tom, from a coach's standpoint. This isn't a fan standpoint, it's not a player standpoint. The coaches probably didn't mind what their team had to do on the defensive end.
Yeah.
What was halftime, 21-21?
Yeah.
So the coaches, there was a lesson to be learned. Hey, we did it defensively. You guarded a team no one wants to guard all year long. We won't play a team like this. The second part, which the fans will then have liked, is because the offense kicked in. And the pace of the defense, Cal, they turned it up a notch, right? They said, okay, now we're going to go after them. Now we've got to force turnovers. Now we're going to push. Now we're going to do things our way. And it's worked. So from a, again, coaches are different creatures. They'll like a lot of this stuff. And a fan and maybe an announcer, we've sat here and thought, this is like pulling teeth. But I think Cal's got a lot of good out of it, what's happening tonight.
I mean, so you're telling me the sky isn't falling? Because there's a lot of folks.
It is, it's still November, right?
Yeah.
November, yeah.
Cats 4-2. You know, there hasn't been a team win the national championship that had 2 losses in the month of November since Kansas. Danny Manning's Kansas team. That's why they called him Danny and the Miracles. Good finish on a beautiful play by Bash Whelan.
And if you push, you got numbers. Didn't want to push it.
Reeves nearly walked with it. Here's Toppin now, who's gotten all 10 of his points in the second half. Toppin for 3. Hope way off. And you got to think Bellarmine, which is on a red eye 2 nights ago with a layover in Atlanta and then bust over from Louisville today, might be running out of gas here. Chris Livingston isn't.
And they're not a team designed, kind of like your football analogy. If they're a running team and they're down a bunch of points,
yeah,
you know, they're not going to open up and pass at that time. Hope probably took kind of a quick 3, but they know they're down. They'd love to get back in this game.
Oscar 8 points and 12 boards. Oscar Tshiebwe's production is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. 38 career games, he has 31 double-doubles in a Kentucky uniform.
Where is he tonight? 8 points, 12 rebounds, you said?
Wheeler tried to get it to Livingston. And a Kentucky foul will go on the freshman Chris Livingston.
And that possession looked as though there was a big focus on getting to Oscar in the middle, but Bellarmine is just not allowing it. I mean, there's 2 or 3 bodies around every place he moves to cut. And again, Oscar doesn't sit on that low block and spread out and give you a target. He kind of he bounces around, makes it difficult for a teammate to find the easy avenue to pass it.
I mean, there's at least one school of thought that if Oscar's going to give you 18 and 13 without running a whole lot of plays for him, then let him play his game.
Correct. And I don't think they run a ton of plays for him because he's not that much of an offensive threat as much as he is when he's down low. When he gets it, he can score, but he's not like doesn't have Kareem's hook shot and things like that. He's hard to match up with because of his energy. He's constant motion. Hard to keep off the glass, all those things.
Wheeler in the paint.
Tough. Good crossover. Usually when Wheeler goes left, it's all the way to the rim. When the right, he's probably going to do a floater because he uses his left hand.
Bellarmine is 4 of 11 from 3 this half. Collins lost the handle on it. They'll fire another. That is the Bellarmine game plan. And while it worked to an extent with late clock situations in the first half, it has not worked here in the second.
The other part of that, Tom, is their legs can get tired running that offense too.
Yeah. Nice. Antonio Reeves. So Antonio Reeves, you mentioned, was a great scorer at Illinois State. He's being asked to shift his role a little bit and be more of a shooter here. What is that transition like?
It's tougher because you don't get as many shot attempts. He was a focus of his offensive play at Illinois State, where he got a number of shots. He could be a volume shooter. Now you narrow that down, you don't get as many shots. But for the Wildcats, the crossover by Wheeler, we've seen it many years. First at Georgia, now at Kentucky. Awfully good, awfully strong.
Well, this game was 21 all at the half, and Bellarmine was trying to become the first team from the state of Kentucky to beat Louisville and Kentucky in the same year since Kentucky Wesleyan did it, John, in 26-27. It's been a while.
26-27.
1926-27 season, the last time anybody from the Commonwealth beat both Louisville and Kentucky in the same year. The last team outside of the state to beat both in non-conference play in the same season, North Carolina, 2013-2014. That was right before Louisville joined the ACC. Cats' three-point shooting in the second half much improved, 5 of 10 from behind the arc. That's been a huge difference. And they're going to get Collins for the foul. So next up for Kentucky, they'll have a flight tomorrow to London, not London, Kentucky. Not that you would fly there anyway, but to London, England. They'll play Michigan on ABC Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern. Spend another night in London before flying back. You know, Cal was telling me a story years ago. He took UMass overseas and he made a deal. You remember this? Remember the old Concorde?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had swapped around some stuff like the salesman he is. He took UMass to London on a Concorde. They missed like 0 classes to get over there.
I got a deal for you.
Have you met Marcus Camby? Yeah, this day and age, you could make an NIL deal out of it. You put Oscar on the, if the Concorde still existed. I talked to Oscar about it today. Never been to London. He's really excited. He said, I just can't wait to meet the people over there.
Well, what a beautiful place. I've been a couple times. One of my collegiate daughters at the time did a semester over there, so it made Mom and Dad go visit. Beautiful place, beautiful city.
Some places have the Big Bank, some have Big Ben. In and out, and Bash Whelan will get another chance. How about the effort for Bellarmine and head coach Scott Davenport tonight?
I think they've been fabulous. You talked about their travels. I think tonight they bus back and hope they get to sleep in.
Yeah, I hope so too.
They've had such a challenge, but I mean, they had this crowd nervous in this building.
No doubt about it.
The thing that hurt Bellarmine the most, they did not make the open jump shots in that second half.
Yeah. three from Antonio Reeves. Can't wait to hear what he has to say about this. We'll have him sit with us post-game for a minute. I thought also that it wasn't just the open jump shots, but Bellarmine is obviously comfortable taking shots with a hand near their face.
Yeah.
Not saying draped all over them, but they had a lot of close misses. There's a three from Justin Betts. It's his first triple of the night.
And the misses allowed this Wildcat team to at least push the pace. They might not have gotten a lot of quick, easy baskets, but they got open jump shots. And C.J. Frederick and Antonio Reeves kind of delivered from the outside.
Cats are going to be held about 30 points under their season average. You would have expected with Bellarmine's time of possession for that number to dip in this game anyway. But only 21 points in the first half, not what John Calipari had in mind. There's Wallace with the pick. 3-on-2.
I thought Toppin was really, really good and may have set the tone defensively because of his length on the ball out front. Because he was the best defender of the length guys that could do that.
He feels like the guy that would be the swing guy for Kentucky this year if they were able to accomplish all their goals. Xavier is cramping up.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
if they're going to be a Final Four type team.
Yeah, he's got to be good. He's got to be good. I think there's another guy that I think could possibly get there, and that's Livingston. As his growth as a freshman season, he's going to be another one of those. We know what you're going to get from Wheeler. We know what you're going to get from Oscar.
Xavier was injured, at least banged up a little bit when that play was beginning, when they had 3-on-2.
It's more like a cramp.
Yep.
Let's go back. I do think Toppin is the guy that, you know, a year ago when we watched Kentucky, it was always Brooks, right?
Yeah.
Deion Brooks. He was the guy, like if he had a big game, you thought, okay, now he's the guy. Brooks has now since transferred, playing well at Washington, averaging 15 points.
I mean, cramps are the worst. Now, it doesn't happen to me in front of 18,000, but it is once or twice I wake up in the middle of the night screaming about it.
He's got the penguin walk on.
That guy loves being Xavier Wheeler. Born to play basketball, his parents first met at Rucker Park.
I love how Reeves walked to the free throw line.
Wheeler left, and so Scott Davenport will have a chance to pick the free throw shooter.
Oscar wants him.
Toppin at 58% on the season.
Oscar,
do you like that rule, by the way?
What's that?
Where the opposing coach gets to pick who shoots the free throws if you leave via injury?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Now that changes if it's a flagrant. If it's a flagrant foul, then there's the penguin walk for Xavier. If it's a flagrant foul, then the head coach gets to insert anybody he wants.
Correct. Yeah. This is fine.
Keeps people from, you know, faking injuries to get a better shooter at the line.
What's funny is Oscar knows, because he said, I need 2. He's got 8 points.
He's well aware.
He's got 8 and 12. He needs a bucket.
He should have said something to Scott Davenport. He should have told him he needed to.
Scott, I got a little NIL I'll share with you.
He's probably making more than the other head coach.
Yeah.
60-41 is the final. Bellarmine held to 20 points in the second half. Scott Davenport and John Calipari share a laugh and a smile. Very few smiles in Rupp in the first half when the Cats only had 21 points. But in the second half, they're able to get things going. Bellarmine 57%.
Yeah, Bellarmine's a fun team to watch. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm going to go back. I think the coaches for Kentucky got what they wanted out of this, which means they got a lot of film and a lot of good. Even though it's 60-41, everything worked out well, and the fans are going to be happy. But they were a little scared 30 minutes in.
So they'll jump on a plane and fly across the pond, go over to London to take on Michigan. That game's on ABC on Sunday afternoon. That'll be another opportunity for the Cats. And then a very good UCLA team before Christmas, before they open conference play on the road against the SEC's best offense so far through the early part of the season. Mizzou is undefeated at 7-0 and scoring 92 points a game. That's how the league play will open. Meanwhile, before we start talking to Antonio Reeves, Sonny, let's look what he did tonight.
Well, I thought he was outstanding when they needed it most. This was a team, Kentucky, that was struggling to get scoring on the offensive end. And then when Antonio Reeves opened it up, not only scored inside, but a jumper got going in the second half. And you know what? It was a defensive thing. And then the corner shot became happening, and it was all good for Antonio Reeves.
So, Antonio, let's start with talking about the unique defensive effort that you guys had to go through against this team. How would you describe the first half defensively?
Defensively, man, it was a struggle, man. They did a lot of back cuts that, you know, we practice every day. And, you know, they did a lot of dribble handoffs, too. So, you know, it was a new thing for us, and we had to just, you know, capitalize on it.
You don't want to play a team like this every game, though, do you?
No, not at all. No.
So, okay, the second half changes a little bit. You guys took it up a notch defensively.
Yeah.
They missed some shots. All of a sudden, the pace gets going your way. CJ got a couple open looks. You got a couple open looks. Tell me what's it like going from a year where you were required to score a lot of points. Now it's kind of pick and choose between when you get opportunities or not.
Oh, man, you know, it's a lot of good players around me. You know, I know all my teammates can score. You know, they look for me in transition, or they look for me, you know, whenever. And, you know, it's just everybody, you know, can make plays. So it's definitely, you know, the team that, you know, you just go out there and you don't have to worry about scoring all the time. You can do other things like rebound, assist, you know, it's everything. Just be an all-around player.
Hey, I'm curious before we let you go, have you ever been to London?
No, I never did.
Are you looking for a trip?
Yeah, I am. I can't wait for it, for sure.
What are you looking forward to the most besides the hoops?
Scenery, you know, just going out and exploring, man, and meeting new people, trying new restaurants, and, you know, trying something like the mall.
Hey, from the Bahamas to London in the span of 3 months is a pretty good run for you.
Yeah.
Huh? Your passport's getting some work.
Yeah, for sure.
Congratulations. The offense was on point in the second half. Antonio Reeves in Kentucky hold on to knock off Bellarmine. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
appreciate
it, man. Thank you.
And so it's off to London. Hey, look, kids, Big Ben for this Kentucky team. Sonny, that was a fun one. Bellarmine looked crisp, but the Cats had the better athletes.
Yeah, it was a good ball game. Credit Bellarmine. Good. Kentucky with a win, and off to London they go.
And off we go for John Stunple, Tom Hart. Have a great night, everybody.